I'm not the biggest fan of The Weeknd, but I am a fan. I've liked most of the songs I've heard from him in passing, but I didn't actively seek out his music, aside from maybe Blinded by the Lights and Die For You. Although that changed when I heard his latest full-length album, Hurry Up Tomorrow, which I feel is a very strong contender for Album of the Year, and I'd highly recommend just listening to it all the way through due to how cinematic of a listening experience it is. Before this new album came out, though, Abel Tesfaye had already taken a shot at acting in both his short-lived series on HBO called The Idol, along with a brief cameo in Uncut Gems. Abel wanted to take another shot at acting with the theatrical adaptation of Hurry Up Tomorrow, in which he even has writing credit. With this movie premiering on Rotten Tomatoes with a 0%, and with that one viral clip that has been going around, I knew I had to check this out in theaters as an enjoyer of bad movies. Was Abel going to show any acting improvements since The Idol, and was this going to be a so bad it's good experience, or just a bad one? Hey, what's good, people? It's your boy, DatChickenWang, part of the Chicken Wang Gang crew, and I'm here today to give you my honest thoughts and opinions about The Weeknd's leading theatrical debut in the movie Hurry Up Tomorrow. Hurry Up Tomorrow follows Abel Tesfaye portraying his musical alter ego, The Weeknd. Abel is grappling with insomnia and emotional turmoil after a recent breakup he's still trying to salvage. Although during a concert, he loses his voice mid-performance, triggering a wave of anxiety, and as he begins to unravel on stage, he locks eyes with Anima, or Annie, played by Jenna Ortega, a mysterious fan in the front row. She catches him as he leaves the venue, and after a night out in the town together, she pulls him into a surreal journey of self-exploration. Following a heated exchange the next morning, Abel is knocked unconscious, and from there he's forced to confront his inner demons in a sequence of symbolic, unsettling events that blur the line between reality and hallucination, all while Annie torments him. Oh, and by the way, this is going to be a spoiler review, so if you are curious just to hear my overall thoughts or my rating for the movie, cut to this part in the video. Otherwise, there's your warning. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so going from that plot synopsis, that sounds like it could make for a pretty compelling movie, right? Abel's having to deal with his inner demons, and it's taking a physical and mental toll on his health, all while he's worried about this breakup that happened, and it's putting a lot of pressure on him, so much so to the point that he crashes out mid-performance during a concert. And then after the show, he meets the manic pixie dream girl. They go out, they have a good time, and she brings him up out of the funk. But then as things start to get a little serious, Abel's trying to leave, and she turns into a complete nightmare for him. And that's when we kind of get our misery part of the movie. And that sounds like it should be pretty much good to go, but somehow this movie fumbles the bag on that really hard because it just doesn't know what type of movie it wants to be. So when we're first introduced to Abel, he's on tour, he's performing, he's partying it up with his manager played by Weeknd, but we also cut back and forth between shots of that to Annie, who is in the process of burning down a home. Whose home it is, why is she doing this? We never know, we never find out. But most importantly, after that, she receives a notification that she has to get ready to go to California because it's time for the Weeknd show. So we join her on a little montage as she's driving to California. She eventually gets to the show, and Abel is having a very bad time backstage. And he just throws his phone, he's losing it, but he goes up to perform after Weeknd starts gaslighting him and just telling him that, oh, you are the best thing ever, these people are here for you. And so he loses his voice on stage. But in the process of that, him and Annie lock eyes, and they both shed a tear. Abel crashes out, leaves the venue, Annie follows behind, and they eventually do meet up. And from there, Abel's like, hey, you want to come with me? She's like, okay. And so they just hang out, they go to the Santa Monica Pier, ride around on scooters, they're going to tiki bars, just having a good time, just nuzzling together, crying, and they eventually end up at the Biltmore Hotel, where Abel wants to play a song that he's working on. It's currently unfinished, and they listen to it in the hotel room, and Annie thinks that it's about her. And they share a tender moment together. It cuts to black, and we hear Abel say, please never leave me, or something along the lines of that. So the next morning, Abel wakes up and looks at his phone, and he's getting all these messages, and he's realizing, ooh, maybe I really did screw things up by walking out mid-performance at a concert. And Annie is getting a call from her mom, and her mom's like, Annie, why did you do that? You always ruin everything, blah, blah, blah. And mom's just really souring the mood. She's starting to cry again, and Abel's just like, hey, you good over there? And he just attempts to brush her off. And Annie's like, hey, so what are we doing next? Weeknd's all like, I don't know, I guess I'm going wherever the tour takes me. Annie says, I think it's Australia. Okay, cool. I heard it's beautiful this time of year. Yeah, you should go check it out sometime. Like, man, you spent the night with this woman and told her all these things, and now you're just trying to leave. And then it ends up with that funny scene that's gone viral where Abel just lets out the most zesty, "Shut the fuck up!"
Shut the fuck up! Shut up!
And for the people who didn't leave in the theater, they were just cracking up. The theater was cracking up during that point. Man, so he goes to leave, and Annie hits him over the head with a bottle or vase, and bam, cut to black, and we are in darker territory now. And so now this is where the dream sequence begins. We see Abel wake up, and he's in the hotel room. He goes downstairs. Lobby to the hotel is empty. He goes outside. Streets are empty. He goes to an elevator to go up, and it only goes down. And then he ends up in some kind of dark catacomb, and he turns on his phone's light, and he sees a little girl there who kind of resembles the witch from Left 4 Dead, and she just jump scares the audience for no reason, and he's scared, and he runs down the catacombs, and he finds something burning. Like, he sees a bonfire, and next to the bonfire is a little eeny-meeny version of him as a child, and he is singing that song that he just sampled for Annie, the unfinished one. And then, bam, back to reality. So, after the dream sequence, Abel wakes up, and he's realizing that, hey, I'm tied to a bed, and Annie's like, you're not gonna go anywhere until you're honest with me. And the Weeknd just continues to be zesty as ever, being like, untie me, I need to go, untie me. And nope, you ain't going anywhere, because we're going to go into your mind. We're going to find out what your truth is and why you have this inability to be honest with people. And in an odd move, she then begins to analyze his music from his previous albums and to see if there was any deeper meaning in any of his songs, while also telling him what his songs are really about. Like, you wrote this song, but you don't know what it's about. But eventually, Abel's manager arrives to rescue him, but after a fight escalates, Annie unfortunately ends up stabbing him in the neck with something. And bloody and desperate, Annie gives Abel one final chance to be honest with her, and he just can't do it. So she goes outside, grabs that gasoline can from the very beginning of the movie, and just starts pouring gasoline all over the place. And then as she flips open her lighter, that's when Abel plays his unfinished song one more time, which is also the title track of the movie, Hurry Up Tomorrow. So after Abel sings Hurry Up Tomorrow, Annie apparently just lets him go. That was enough of the truth for him to be set free. We see her untie the cords that were around his arms, but mysteriously enough, we don't see Annie or the body of the manager again. Like, the hotel room's on fire, the Weeknd's just casually leaving, he's walking down a hallway. The hallway in one shot actually starts to turn into the backstage area of presumably the next concert venue, and we just leave with the Weeknd looking into the mirror, pretty much in a similar shot to how the movie started. No vocal exercises this time, none of that. And then we just see the title card, Hurry Up Tomorrow. So I was left wondering, was this real? Were the characters in his head? I don't know, but that's how the movie ended. So as far as the actors go in this movie, there are only like really 3 characters, and that's Lee the manager, Annie, and Abel. Everyone is just secondary or just an afterthought. And even given the small amount of actors in this movie, it doesn't feel like there was a whole lot of acting even going on. Like, I think the manager really put in some effort. Like, Barry Keoghan's very animated when he's on screen, and I think one of the best scenes in the movie is when he and Annie actually get into the fight in the hotel room, because it's like, now we're finally getting some action going. There hasn't been a lot going on throughout this movie, and this is where things kind of like kick off. And even though this is Abel Tesfaye's film, he doesn't really do a lot of acting in it. I mean, he's mostly sulking, looking worried, afraid, or crying, or worst of all, just coming off as a whiny baby. He really tried to sell the sexy bad boy image in this movie, and didn't work, dude. And that's not to say he can never shine another movie or similar role, but especially with his ability to cry on command, but with so little back and forth with the other actors, I feel like we didn't get as much out of him as we should have. So while I've been bashing the acting and what some could mistake as an actual plot, I'm also going to bash the camera work a little bit. But first, I also do have to give it some praise. This movie makes great use of long single takes in certain parts of the movie and scene transitions that do look like single shots. The movie starts off with Abel getting ready to perform and go up on stage, and when he's up there performing among the bright lights, the camera is panning around him flawlessly and really showing off the scale of just how big the actual set is. And then switching to Annie going from room to room in this house while pouring gasoline everywhere and then eventually lighting the whole place up was shot very well too. Count that with some of the shots that take place when Abel is having his dreamlike moment, which it almost seems like he's in some kind of purgatory. Some of that was shot beautifully too. The scene as Abel leaves the hotel room while it burns down to him entering the backstage to the next concert venue to bring us back to the exact shot that the movie started with was genuinely good too. And then we have the camera panning and the blurry visual effects. The camera panning was used so much early on, almost to the point where it felt nauseating. I literally had to look away at some points because it was just starting to get to me more than the flashing lights. Also, the fact that the blurry camera pans were from scenic views that looked familiar, it was just even more disappointing because why could we not just enjoy these sprawling views on display as Annie is on a road trip? This movie also made use of aspect ratio changes, but I wasn't really sure what a lot of the point of it was. Like, for a movie like Sinners, when the aspect ratio changed, you knew something major was about to happen. And then the shot of Abel's face as he's singing the entirety of Hurry Up Tomorrow, that wasn't a long one-shot take we needed, like, at all. Alright, so I gotta talk about the build-up leading into the finale of this movie because this is where the vanity of the vanity project really kicks in, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. So when Annie has Abel tied to the bed, she demands that he be honest about the messaging in his songs and to try and dig into some of what his trauma might be. She turns on blinding lights through a Bluetooth speaker, and she does this cutesy little dance routine while Abel's forced to watch, but you can also hear her tapping her feet on the floor as the song is playing in the background, so it's kind of like... It's just... that took me out. But here's the thing. Annie isn't just talking to Abel, she's talking directly to us, to you, to everyone in the audience. She is telling you how deep the Weeknd's music is, how deep the lyrics are, and how much meaning we might have missed. And then she moves on to Gasoline from Dawn FM, doubling down on this idea. And honestly, this part, her explanation on this, it felt gross to me. Like, this was not a genuine character moment or anything at all. This was Abel Tesfaye using Jenna Ortega as a mouthpiece to defend and explain this song to the audience, because people know this song didn't receive the commercial success Abel probably would have wanted. But if those words came out of his mouth directly, that would have been too on the nose. And so by using Jenna Ortega to get that point across, I think that's where it went past self-indulgence and just went into bad taste, at least to me. So as of the time of this recording, it's been about a week since I saw the movie, and it honestly took me a pretty long time to just kind of wrap my thoughts around this movie because of how nonsensical it is. I mean, there's no real plot, it's a mishmash of different movies, the obsessed fan angle that they're leaning into to try and sell this movie, it's not even the main conflict, and the whole I'm trying to salvage this breakup thing, that's forgotten late into the movie. By the time the movie's over, it doesn't matter. And you know what, I didn't really feel the need to give it a low score because it's not the worst vanity project I've seen. But then I went back and listened up to Hurry Up Tomorrow, the album, one more time after watching this movie. And wow. The cinematic storytelling that the album does is much stronger and coherent than anything that's going on in this movie. Because, I mean, this movie brings one song to life, and that is Baptized in Fear. And if you have heard the song, it brings a lot of context to the scene, but that song is not playing when this scene is happening. So if you've never heard the song, you're going to be confused as hell. And yeah, just realizing that the album was a better send-off to the Weeknd persona than this movie was, it just left me disappointed even more. And so with that, I'm going to give Hurry Up Tomorrow 2 out of 11 chicken wings. On top of being a vanity project that isn't even as cinematic as the album it's based off of, I'm left feeling like this movie only exists to stroke Abel's ego. This film didn't offend me with how bad it is because some of the sequences in the movie are fun to watch. But with how good the actual album is compared to the movie, I think this movie is actually doing a disservice to the album by simply existing. I mean, nice try, Mr. Tesfaye. Maybe next time you'll get this right. And that's my review for Hurry Up Tomorrow, and I am sorry it took so long to get this one out there. I need to figure out a way to streamline these videos better, but I'm still here, I'm still doing these reviews, and I think Karate Kid is probably going to be the next one. But hey, if I have hopefully earned a like or a comment or a sub from you, then please let me know, and hey, if you saw this movie, I want to hear your thoughts too, so let me know in the comments. In the meantime, I hope to catch you for the next one. Yo yo.